House Resolution 101 by Assemblymember Ward and others relative to lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer LGBTQ+ Pride Month.
Assemblymember Ward, you may open.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. Happy Pride Month. As the Vice Chair of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus, it's my honor to present H.R. 101 to officially recognize June 2024 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender, and Queer Pride Month. Recognized as a time to support our LGBTQ+ community and celebrate our diversity, this month is especially a time to affirm that everyone should be able to live as their authentic selves, proudly and openly. Pride Month is also a time to learn about and remember our history and in turn celebrate our progress. Labor protections ensure federal government employees are no longer banned or arbitrarily labeled security risks for simply identifying as LGBTQ. Discriminatory discharges for our LGBTQ service members has been repealed, and marriage equality is the law of the land not just here in California, but in several countries. As for modern-day progress, our caucus is proud that in 2023, California became the first state legislature in the nation to reach 10% representation for LGBTQ individuals, bringing parity with LGBTQ Californians. Further, it mustn't be lost on us that Pride is also a protest, as is how our movement was sparked. Regarded by many as the event to kick off the LGBTQ equal rights movement, the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in New York began in response to the discriminatory targeting of gay bars and LGBTQ patrons. However, missing from our history books is Compton's cafeteria riots in San Francisco, which happened 3 years before Stonewall. Compton's cafeteria riots similarly occurred in response to the discriminatory targeting of patrons, particularly transgender women and those of color. While we've since achieved great strides as a result of tireless activism, now more than ever, we know that our plight for equality is not won overnight. With over 500 anti-LGBTQ bills introduced across the nation, we note that politically motivated attacks on the rights, safety, and dignity of our LGBTQ community, disproportionately targeting our TGI siblings and youth, continues to grow across the country and sadly here also in California. While there are outside actors who wish to divide our community, we reject that rhetoric and affirm that we stand united as one LGBTQ community. Because when one member of our community is attacked, we are all attacked. As such, June especially highlights the ongoing fight for equality and serves as a reminder to remain steadfast in our support for all community members. We can't give up. We won't give up. We are not going back into the closet. It's more important than ever that old and new allies stand in pride and solidarity with our community and especially with our TGI siblings and against the hate that they are disproportionately facing. Members, each and every one of us have tens of thousands of LGBTQ constituents in each and every one of our districts. They are your constituents too. So as you may attend Pride events this year, remember to be safe and take care of yourselves and others, because Pride Month is also a celebration. Pride Month brings us all together to connect with others who understand the journey and to express ourselves in an atmosphere of love and acceptance. On behalf of the California Legislative LGBTQ Caucus, I'm proud to bring forth H.R. 101, commemorating this important month and affirming support for all community members, and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you, Assemblymember Ward. Assemblymember Wilson, you are recognized.
Mr. Speaker, colleagues, I rise today as chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus in proud support of H.R. 101, celebrating LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Also, as a mother of a transgender son, this resolution is deeply personal to me and countless other families across California. This resolution affirms our state's commitment to equality and justice for all, recognizing the invaluable contributions of the LGBTQ+ community to every aspect of our society. From business and medicine to the arts and education, LGBTQ+ individuals enrich our lives and inspire us all. There are countless historical and modern Black figures who have contributed greatly to advancing LGBTQ+ equality and culture, and our culture as a whole, from civil rights leaders Bayard Rustin to the American writer James Baldwin, from activist and trailblazer Ernestine Eckstein to political leaders like Barbara Jordan. the first African American elected to the Texas Senate in 1966, and the first African American woman elected to Congress from Texas in 1972. As was once noted by the Black lesbian writer, poet, breast cancer survivor, and civil rights activist Audre Lorde, it is not our differences that divide us. It is our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences. Despite significant progress, challenges remain. The LGBTQ+ community, especially transgender individuals, continue to face discrimination and violence. California stands as a beacon of hope and safety, but our work is far from over. We must remain vigilant in our advocacy to ensure that everyone can live open and authentically. I urge my colleagues to join the Legislative Black Caucus in supporting H.R. 101. Let us honor the achievements of the LGBTQ+ community and reaffirm our commitment to building a state and a nation where equality and love prevail over hate and justice. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblymember Wilson. Assemblymember Ramos, you are recognized.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I stand on behalf of the California Native American Legislative Caucus, and I rise today in support of H.R. 101. In a time when we see basic human rights under attack because of ethnicity, immigration status, and race, we also see attempts to undermine and erase the human and civil rights of our LGBTQ+ brothers and sisters in the community. We cannot allow this. We need to stand and embrace one another and stand side by side, not just in this month of Pride, but every day of the year. We need to stand side by side in protecting the rights of our brothers and sisters in the LGBTQ+ community. And as we do, we strengthen our own rights as we stand side by side. The LGBTQ+ community has contributed much to our culture and advancement in a number of fields, including being leaders within tribal communities in the state of California. We thank the community for their contributions in all these fields that we move forward. It's time that we embrace one another and lift each other up during these times. I'm proud to stand with our LGBTQ+ community to make sure that they know that we stand together in the face of any turmoil that might come their way. I ask for your aye vote on this H.R. 101.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Haney, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today on behalf of the California Legislative Jewish Caucus in support of H.R. 101 in celebration of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Californians. This month, we recognize the LGBTQ community's important and lasting contributions in every field, from business, medicine, law, humanities, science, literature, politics, education, music, philanthropy, sports, arts, and culture that enrich our national life. We recognize both the LGBTQ community's history and the future of the community. We are proud to recognize the jump from 5.6% to 7.1% of Americans who openly identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or queer in 2022. We also celebrate the LGBTQ community's leadership in many prominent Jewish organizations, such as rabbis, cantors, and leaders of major institutions, including Beth Chaim Shadashim in Los Angeles, the first LGBTQ synagogue in the world. We celebrate, as we did recently, the long legacy filled with changemakers from the LGBTQ community and Jewish community, both past and present, including Harvey Milk, California Congresswoman Sarah Jacobs, Barbara Sipperstein, the first transgender member of the Democratic National Committee, Dr. Rachel Levine, Assistant Secretary for Health and Human Services, the first transgender individual to hold a federal position that requires Senate confirmation, and of course, our very own co-chair of the Jewish Caucus from San Francisco, Senator Scott Wiener. And we are proud that we have doubled the size of the LGBTQ contingency in our Jewish caucus. While this is a time to celebrate, we also recognize there is much to do to advance the rights of the LGBTQ community across the country. With over 500 anti-LGBTQ bills introduced in 2023 and over 500 again introduced this year, much of this legislation targets the transgender community, threatening their health care, access to opportunities, and right to equal treatment under the law. So too, violence against the LGBTQ community has continued to be a pervasive threat to this day. We're proud of the work that this body has done to stand with our transgender representatives as allies, as our constituents as allies, including this past year. This body became the first in the state, the first in the country to recognize August as Transgender History Month. We have to do everything in our power to ensure equality for everyone and that every person is given the just and equal treatment that is our nation's promise. There is much still to be done, and the Jewish Caucus will stand strong and proud with the LGBTQ community in solidarity and in the fight for equality and justice. In that spirit and on behalf of the Jewish Caucus, I respectfully ask for your aye vote on H.R. 101.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Lowe, you are recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker and colleagues, for allowing me to speak in celebration and recognition of a very prideful month. As chair of the California Asian Pacific Islander Legislative Caucus, we have incredible trailblazers like Congressman Mark Takano, the first Asian American member of Congress elected in United States history, or the youngest Asian American legislator in Assemblymember Alex Lee in the state of California, who broke records from a previous office holder who previously held that title as individuals get older in this period of time. It's important to recognize that there's always a first but not a last, and that is the beauty of this continuation of inclusivity. At the same time, I also want us to be reminded as we are celebrating in this beautiful chambers and seeing the colorful attire. It wasn't all that long ago, too, that other members on the opposite side of the aisle would summarily, during this recognition, walk off the floor of this chamber. And I want to pause for a moment to recognize our colleagues on the other side of the aisle for giving the dignity and recognizing that we exist and allowing an opportunity to respect love of basic humanity and that love transcends partisanship. That is the fact. If we remember our history, we would have the gay men's chorus come beautifully here in these chambers and not have a single member on the opposite side of the aisle in this chamber. This is progress. And in fact, as we have an opportunity to rectify the discriminatory past of California, eliminating the rights of same-sex couples to marry, on this floor, on this assembly floor, not one no vote on marriage equality, supporting marriage equality in the state of California, and supporting constitutional protections to love, irrespective of gender and also race, and that of same-sex couples to marry and also interracial marriage. And so as we celebrate this opportunity, I also ask to lend a hand of love to those across different party affiliations, because that's the only way, that is the only way in this period of time that we'll get through the hate. We are stewards of public trust. And as we see the incredible leaders that will be walking down these aisles here today, they are in the community subjected to the incredibly difficult vitriol each and every day, hated for who they are. And yet, in spite of that, you will see them walking beautifully down this aisle in the people's house, celebrating who they are. And so as we reflect on this moment, let us not forget the hard work of those who have come before us, who are not out because of the fear of being persecuted or killed. And in fact, as we recognize the LGBTQ Legislative Caucus, we still lack a member of our transgender community represented in these chambers. And in fact, the states of Virginia and Delaware have trans representation. California still does not. So we have great work to be done ahead of us. And as we recognize this celebration, I again thank all of our colleagues for allowing us to celebrate in our Pride Month. I respectfully ask for our vote in H.R. 101.
Thank you very much, Assemblymember Lowe. Assemblymember Cervantes, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. As chair of the Latino Legislative Caucus and a member of the Women's Caucus, I rise in support of H.R. 101. Today, we commemorate Pride Month and celebrate our progress in our fight for equality. I'm a proud member of our LGBTQ caucus and a proud queer Latina, and the first openly queer Latina elected chair in our caucus state's history. I'm also the mother of triplets who are growing up in a same-sex family. In fact, 16% of our state is raising their children in same-sex families. The Stonewall Uprising is a reminder of how our LGBTQ plus community continues to reclaim our place, our names, and our bodies to help reaffirm the voices of our diverse and united community. We honor the bravery and continued resilience of the LGBTQ community, those who have fought for our rights, and those who continue to do so today, like those who are being honored. In fact, Latinos played a key role in demonstrations across our country that started as early as the 1950s, like Mexican-American writer John Ritchie, who took part in the largely forgotten 1959 Cooper Donut riots in LA, 10 years before the Stonewall Uprising. Black and Latina trans women like Marsha P. Johnson, Miss Major Griffin Gracie, and Sylvia Rivera were at the helm of this movement in its early stages, founding organizations to support homeless, trans women, and queer youth ostracized by their families. Let this also be a stark reminder that in recent years we have witnessed a record-breaking number of anti-LGBTQ plus measures proposed and passed across our country. The pervasive violence of our LGBTQ plus community faces, in particular, our communities of color due to the intersection of racism, transphobia, sexism, have taken the lives of so many. We mourn those we have lost to violence and hold their lives in our memory as we continue to work towards ending hateful speech, threats, and violence. The courage of many of our LGBTQ plus community indeed provides us with strength, but no child, no person should have to be courageous to love, to live, and to survive, to be able to be themselves. We all have a responsibility to protect one another and to stand up against hate, bigotry, homophobia, and transphobia. Pride Month is the time to celebrate our progress and acknowledge the challenges. If you are an ally, be loud about your support. I want to acknowledge our Indigenous, two-spirited, non-binary relatives. We see you. So let us all continue to have more open spaces and celebrate one another. To those who are afraid to be open about their identity, we see you every day. You belong, and we will continue to fight to ensure we all are treated with dignity and respect and given equal opportunity to love and be loved. For these reasons, I join my colleague from San Diego and respectfully ask for an aye vote on H.R. 101.
Thank you very much. Assemblymember Jones-Sawyer, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I represent a group of people called the proud parents of a gay son and his partner, his husband. My son didn't come out to me until he graduated from Morehouse College. And if you know anything about the African American community, it is not easy to do that. And once he did, at the age of 21, he told me all of the abuses, all of the hate, all of the discrimination, all that he had to suffer through. And I asked him why he didn't come to me. And to this day, I don't understand what I did that didn't give him that comfort level to where he could come to his father, who hopefully is the most important person who could protect him. And he didn't feel like he could come to me, which tells me that in the African American community, we have a long way to go. We allow LGBTQ people to be part of our church, to be part of the community, to be doctors, lawyers, but we don't let them be themselves. I am extremely proud of my son, who is not only a Morehouse grad in mathematics and biology, who's probably the only African-American teacher in the LA City school system, maybe in the state, that's teaching advanced math and biology right now. that is an example to other African American males that they can go into the sciences, into the math sciences. And it's not something that he still cannot come out and talk about when he's in class. He still can't be himself, which is a tragedy, because I think there may be some young boys that would love to sit and talk to my son, that would love to sit and tell them about their pain, and then my son could tell them about his pain and how he survived it, and how he was able to go on and get his master's at Georgia State, and now he's getting his doctorate at the University of Southern California. He was able to overcome that because there was eventually a support system that got him through it, but it wasn't always there. And so on Pride Day, I want to acknowledge, at least on this floor, that I'm extremely proud of my son. I'm extremely proud of his partner, whom I married in front of my office in Exposition Park. That's how proud I am of them. And I will continue to be proud of them. And that's why this is so important. And that's why we have to not only acknowledge, but we have to actually speak it and say it and show our support each and every day. Because when we hide and whisper, or we let other people say derogatory things about LGBTQ people, that we allow that homophobia to continue, then we are not truly prideful. And we are complicit in what's going on in the state. And so I commend you on HR 101, Mr. Ward, and the rest of the community, and hopefully we all have a unanimous vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Seeing and hearing no further debates, Assemblymember Ward, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to express my gratitude for my colleagues from Susan City, from Highland, from Riverside, from Los Angeles, and from Silicon Valley for your eloquent words, whether you are a member of our caucus or a straight ally. We are very much appreciative for the heartfelt and headstrong and personal testimony that you can provide here today, because it reminds me of one of our trailblazers, the late Harvey Milk, who very wisely in the 70s helped to turn a tide that was coming politically against us, hate-filled rhetoric that was coming at us that otherwise would have set a trajectory for some really regressive policy making. And the solution was to come out, because it's a lot harder to be able to hate somebody that you know and to have reasonable and meet eye to eye, to have those conversations and find that common ground. And that's what Pride Month is about. For us, it's about three things. One, remembering our history, because that defines where we've come from, defines where we are going. Two is remembering that it began with a protest, and we still protest today. The injustices that are around us and the hate that rises up against us and people we love, we are there to be able to let them know that we are not going back into the closet, and we are going to continue to fight and protest those actions. And third, it is a time to celebrate. It is a time to respect and love and appreciate the unique identities and qualities and the individualities that make up California. And so for just the testimonies that are here that I know are representative of all people from across the Golden State, I want to thank you for sharing that today. I would ask that the first roll be open for co-authors and respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All debate having ceased, the clerk will open the roll for co-authors. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. All members vote who desire to vote. Remember, this is for co-authors. The clerk will close the roll. Clerk will close the roll. Okay. There are 55 co-authors added. Without objection, we will now take a voice vote on the resolution. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted.